Okay, in the last class we spoke about gender confusion before Moshiach. Today I'd like to speak about feminism. Everything I'm saying is what I've heard from Rav Dan Segel and other Gedolim, and it might be simple to you, it might be a chiddush, it might be innovation. So you'll let me know if you choose to do so. About I don't know how long the Chofetz Chaim lived. It's less than 100 years ago. Right, there was a wonderful woman in the world that Hashem brought. A wonderful woman, Neshama, into the world, Upsurge, and she saw what was going on in the world, emancipation, if you would call it that, and she realized that something must be done about this, or else the Jewish females will be enticed by the tide of um, education and liberalism and will be pulled into the wrong places. So she realized that it was time to step up the education of Jewish women. Up until then, women had primarily been educated by their mothers, and they did an excellent job of that on the most part, right? To give over the Masera of Klal Yisrael from mother to daughter for thousands of years. This is how things worked. Women weren't so involved with higher education necessarily. As one of my teachers, Rav Yirmiyah Kaganov, told me, that his grandmother's Tillim was drenched with tears. Yeah, it was drenched with tears. And this was because the women were successfully transmitted the Masera that women have to know, the many, many things that women have to know in order to be successful Jewish mothers and wives uh, and people, was given over in generation to generation successfully from Har Sinai until about 100 plus years ago. And then there was a tide of change in the world, as we mentioned in the last class. The world is changing as we get closer and closer to Mashiach. The world is changing, as Rav Chanan Wasserman writes in his Kuntres Ikvus and Mashiach. As the time gets closer and closer, things are going to speed up, right? It's like, the final hour. There's a sale going on, a clearance sale in the final hour. Like everything must go. So the world is changing rapidly, 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 and therefore Sarah Schneer foresaw in her great wisdom and insights the Jewish education of Jewish women must be stepped up, and her evaluation was verified by the Chofetz Chaim. Right, it can be seen in letters that he wrote that Jewish women must be educated on a higher level. Okay, that was the first step, and this manifested itself in a number of ways. Amongst them, right, amongst them, women entering the workplace. Yeah, women entering the workplace. Now, in the words of Rav Dan Segel, right, why did this happen? Right, why did this happen? So, okay, that's only Hashem knows. But for one reason is that had this change not taken place in the world, had not women become more active in the taking an active role in society, right, we certainly would not be able to have the system today that exists with thousands and thousands of Avrechem who are able to learn because their wives are helping them support themselves, which was probably unheard of on such a mass level to have women in the workplace before the feminism came into the world. So we see that every single movement that exists, right, there's a reason for it, and there's a reason it's happening. And as the Goran Yavama says, that everything that Hashem does, in the end of the day, it's happening for the sake of Klal Yisrael. It's happening for the sake of somehow connecting with the Jewish people. And this is what Rav Dan Segel told me, and other Gedolim have also concurred with this world outlook, is that the big increase in feminism was for the purpose of um, Torah being spread. As Rav Shach said after the Holocaust, he wanted 2 generations of just complete Torah, completely being immersed in Torah, to rebuild the Olam HaTorah after the Holocaust. Right? Anyone who's familiar with the literature, if we could call it that, with the Svarim that existed post World War II, right, You learn the tshuvas of Rav Chaim Ozer. You learn the tshuvas of Rav Akiva Eger. You see the Sefer Chavetz Chaim and the writings of the Chavetz Chaim. You see that the level of gaonis, right? Sometimes you learn these svaras. You learn the svarim of the rugged shepherd. You know, it's like almost you want to cry because we're just so many light years away from this level of erudition that existed post-war, and it needed to be rebuilt. All the Torah needed to be rebuilt, and of course, for a man to be studying Torah, especially in today's generation, in the times of the Chavetz Chaim, so they would live in like abject poverty, right? With the simplest things. Someone came to the Chavetz Chaim's house who had one small table, a few chairs. They lived on bread and maybe with like a little drop of something else to put on it, right? Rosh Shlomo Zalman Auerbach writes that for breakfast, this family had an egg. The whole family of, I don't know, was 9-10 people. They split one egg. You can't really get away with that anymore in today's society because the world is very, very different, and therefore there has to be a breadwinner, right? If the man's going to be learning Torah all day, so then how is the bread going to be won? Yeah, how's the bread going to be won? And okay, there's a cold check, but we're not talking about massive amounts of money, right? If you can give a Avrech in Yerushalayim $1,000 a month, then you're considered to be a very generous Rosh Kol. And so, what do you do? What do you do? So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up the world that women would be taking a different role in society. They would be more in the forefront and more in the working world. And this was an important step in the perpetuation of Torah, rebuilding, as Rav Shach said, rebuilding the Olam of Torah after it had been destroyed almost. Baruch Hashem wasn't completely destroyed, but it took a major hit with World War II. As I said, anybody who's familiar with the Sfarim, with the Rabbanim, with the Gaonim that existed then, it's almost mind-boggling. The Yeridas Hadoros has taken place in the past 100 years, but Hashem doesn't let the Torah disappear, and Baruch Hashem, it goes on. It continues, and we still have the Torah. We still have Lomdei Torah. V'chazak v'amatz to all the women who are out there and helping Torah be spread, right? And taking that initiative, right? And it doesn't just mean the wives of Abraham, not at all. No, it means the wives of men who are working, Koveitim L'Torah. Everyone is an Avrech. It's a big mistake that people make. Right? Rashi says in last week's Parsha, Avrech is that Av B'chachma Rach B'shanim. Right? Avrech, right? Avrech. He brings another shot over there, but a Yungaman. Everybody is a Yungaman. The only question is how much does he learn and how much is he occupied with other things, right? A man who works all day long, he has an hour at night, he sits down with his chlusa and turns off his phone and just learns straight. This is Talmud Torah, right? This is Talmud Torah at its best. Yeah, there's Rashi in I believe it's Zvachim Menachos. I don't remember, unfortunately, but he implies that if a person is learning all their free time, it's like they're learning the whole day. Even when they're doing other things, it's like they're learning the entire day. So whether it be the women who are working for their husbands or in coal, whether it be women who are working or housewives, and they're encouraging their husbands to go and learn, whether it's the women who are attending shir themselves, or even maybe listening to the shir, whoever it might be, right? The women of Tafshin, Pei Gimel, right? It's a different world today, and Hashem has opened up the Otros of Shemaim, the treasure houses of heaven, and sent down a special hashpah of Torah today that women are connected to, whether it be shirim, whether it be the ability to be a partner in their husband's Torah, and chazak v'amatz to all the Jewish women who are on board with this and they should have the greatest strength and the greatest success and the greatest bracha in their lives. Amen. Kain Tirov.